There's a reason for the season now. There's a reason we should all applaud.
Hello, my friends. Hello. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I know it's been a little while since I've posted a video for you. Well, to tell you the truth, me and Mrs. Klause were spending a little time in the tropics. Mrs. Klause works so hard throughout the year, keeping the village running and keeping the whole operations going. She's the chief executive officer, as you might say. So we always try to get down to the beach and just sit on the beach there and enjoy the beautiful sand and the ocean and the sunrises and the sunsets and listen to the beautiful music and stuff like that. And so anyway, that's what brings up this point here. So while we were down there last time, just recently, there was a whole bunch of people on the beach. There was young people, old people, grandparents, kids, all sorts of different people from all over the place. Anyway, there was this one group that were having a bit of an argument and stuff, so I was kind of eavesdropping and listening over and looking over. And one of them turned and looked and saw me. And so they decided to come running over. And so a couple of them came over and they said, "Hey, Mr. Klause, we need you to solve an argument for us." And I'm like, whoa, what are you arguing about? I mean, there's nothing that's that important to be arguing about, is there? Well, she says that girls are better than boys, and he says boys are better than girls. I'm like, what are you talking about? Nobody's better than anybody else. And I said, why would you think that? And they said that they had been watching this podcast, this video called the Joe Rogan Experience. And I kind of I knew who that was. I've seen him before, and I've seen some of the shows. And they said they had Professor Neil deGrasse Tyson, who's a brilliant, brilliant scientist, by the way. I mean, the guy's absolutely amazing, so smart, it's incredible. And I'm like, well, what were they talking about that you guys got into a fight about all this stuff? And they said, well, they said that all of your reindeer are girls. And I said, well, why did they say that? And they said, well, because all the male reindeer lose their antlers before Christmas. And I was like, okay, why would that make a difference? And they said, well, there's no way your reindeer can be boys. They have to all be girls. And I was like, well, that's not entirely true. So let me explain a little bit about what they were talking about, and I'll leave a link below that you can watch the video. So Professor Tyson was sharing some truths about reindeer, or caribou, if you want to call them that. Generally in the winter, usually late November, I believe he was sharing, but generally in the winter, late November or early December, most of the male reindeer in the wild, and that's something to keep in mind, and yes, even in captivity at zoos and stuff like that, they usually lose their antlers right about that time, and then they grow back again in the spring. The females, on the other hand, usually keep their antlers till very early spring, right before they start having babies, and then they grow back again afterwards. So they said that because of that, that meant that all of our reindeer that pull the sleigh are females. And I said, well, that's very interesting. There's nothing they said that was wrong except for this fact. They're not all males. They're not all females. Let me explain why. You see, our reindeer, they are very, very special reindeer. And they get the absolute best nutrition. They get the best water. They get the best food. They get the best vitamins. They get the best veterinary and medical care. And they train all the time. They're always out there training and having fun and just practicing and practicing, getting bigger and stronger. And they just always just doing wonderful things. Now, here's something a lot of people don't understand. In the Northern Hemisphere during Christmas, the holiday season, it's winter. But in the Southern Hemisphere, it's summertime. So when we fly, we have to fly down to Australia or South America or South Africa. We have to bounce back and forth from the summer to the winter climates to the summer to the winter climates. And that requires that we train the reindeer in both climates all year long. So the reindeer actually don't spend all year up in the cold north during winter or summer. They bounce back and forth. In fact, we spend a lot of time in the tropics, which is always warm. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. We have training facilities all over the world. In the northern hemisphere, in the southern hemisphere, we have a training facility on every continent. Because we have to travel everywhere. We have to travel to China, or Japan, or Korea. We might have to travel all over Europe, France, or Italy, or or Russia. We have to travel all over the place. Poland, we have to travel down south into Africa. And Africa is so big. I mean, there's so many countries there. Kenya and South Africa. Then we have to travel all over the Middle East. And we have to travel all over the tropics. We go to the Caribbean. We go to South America. I mean, we're all over the place. So they're constantly changing. We're constantly changing our environments. That said, our reindeer, generally most of them keep their antlers until after Christmas. Some of them still lose their antlers before Christmas, but that's okay. Because, you know, they don't need their antlers to fly. Now, I know in all the pictures in the books that you see, or paintings or drawings, or in the movies, for example, that's a whole other story I'll get into another time. All the reindeer have their antlers. So it kind of makes sense that people would think that. But that's just because they weren't really aware of all the special things that go on with the reindeer teams that we have. And by the way, we do have multiple teams. We have more than just a regular reindeer that you're familiar with. They have extra reindeer. They have reindeer that are just as good. And sometimes they switch on and off. They switch on and off in different times of the year. So generally, when we're out there, I'd say probably half the team is female and the other half is male. Some of them have their antlers, some of them don't. Heck, there was a time when none of them had their antlers one time we went out. I bet you that you would have loved to see, huh? Probably would have been pretty shocked and excited about it. Anyway, you know, this is the real point, I think, of what's going on here. Sometimes we share things just for facts and knowledge, and sometimes we misinterpret things that are factual because we don't know the whole truth. And that's where things are different. See, the truth will set you free if you know the whole truth. And the truth is, it shouldn't even matter whether they're male or female. It shouldn't matter whether they have antlers or no antlers. It shouldn't even be an issue to fight, because the truth is it's not like boys are better than girls or girls are better than boys. They're just boys and girls. They're just different. Nobody's better. And it's silly that people look for reasons to get into fights, or sometimes when people share information, that it causes fights. It's absolutely silly and ridiculous that people would be fighting over such things. But I will be honest, I have noticed over the years that there's been a lot of things that people have been sharing to try to start division, to try to start arguments between people, to try to divide moms and dads, children and their parents, their grandparents, brothers and sisters, like in this particular case. None of those things are going to work. You know, if you want this world to be a better place, I'm not going to do it by starting fights and arguments and looking for ways of dividing the world, dividing your family, dividing your neighborhood, dividing your country, dividing everybody. I think that's Krampus at work. I think he's trying to ruin Christmas. Maybe he's behind all these stories and all these things that we keep seeing out there in the news and the media and in the movies or TV shows that are making people argue and fight over these ridiculous things. If you really want to change the world, and if you want the world to be a better place, you're not going to do it through violence or through yelling or screaming at people. History proves that. Look at your history and all you'll see. If you see violent fighting and wars all the time, people rioting and hating on each other, yelling and screaming at each other, those never seem to have a good outcome. The only thing that's really going to make a difference is to love each other. That's it. You got to learn to love people. You got to learn to accept people. You got to learn to forgive people. None of us are perfect. I'm not perfect. Far from it. Are you perfect? Hey, if you are, let me know in the comments below, because I'd love to get to meet you. Anyway, the important thing is Don't get into arguments about silly things like that. And I'm glad I could set the record straight about the reindeer. Usually they're half female and half male, but it doesn't matter. And as far as which ones are which, well, I'm not going to get into that right now. I'm going to leave that to you to play around with and see if maybe you can figure out. A little mystery is always fun, don't you think? Anyway, my friends, till next time, remember, there really is a reason for the season. Love somebody. Share the love. Share good news with people. Share things that are going to bring us together. Don't be a divider. Be a uniter. Love people. Forgive people. Accept people. That's the best thing if you want this world to be a better place. That's what it's going to take. And hey, I do want to thank Joe Rogan and Professor Tyson for sharing this. What a great opportunity to get this message out there and hope clarify a little bit of what's going on out there and stuff. And regardless of whose side you might be on this, or you shouldn't be taking sides, I want you to know, you guys are, if you're out there watching, you're both on the nice list. I appreciate you all. Everybody out there, thank you for watching. Until next time, Godspeed. And remember, love somebody.
Peace on earth, goodwill towards men. Let kindness be your business then. Give more than you receive, then every day will feel just like Christmas Eve. Ho, ho, ho. Milk and cookies.